the executive session and bring the public commission meeting of November 15th, 2022 to order. With that, I'd like to take a roll call. Commissioner Bell?
Here.
Commissioner Shepard?
Here.
And Commissioner Briscoe is here as well. Advisory committee meeting schedule. The Marina Advisory Committee, the MAC, will meet December 13th at 6 p.m. at the Harbor Center building here in this room, in person only, no Zoom. The BIAC, the Bellingham International Airport Advisory Committee, will meet January 12th at 4 p.m. and a Zoom meeting only. That's January 12th at 4 p.m., Zoom meeting only. If you need the information to get into the Zoom meeting, I'm assuming you can get it off our website, correct?
It's posted on our calendar.
Okay, very good. So that out of the way, we'll go to public comment. Do we have any public comment at this time on anything?
Nobody in the room has signed up.
Okay. That being said,
Should we, yep.
hold that thought.
Thanks, Rob.
Don't look like we have many Zoom attendees. 4? That's a record.
We're gonna have to get these employees alternating so we got more people online. It looks better, okay?
Online right now.
One more time in the room, anyone want to say anything? Okay, Carey, if you please.
Motion to approve consent agenda items A through F.
Commissioner Shepard, anything on our consent agenda?
Nope, no comments.
Commissioner Bell?
I don't have anything. I just wanted to point out that we are doing a big deal up in Sumas, and I just wanted the public to understand what we were doing and why we were doing it. We have a building in Sumas that is 100% occupied in a piece of land that's completely utilized, and a company that wanted to buy that property. We felt we could sell that to the company and leverage those funds to do other projects in the county and actually take something from zero to employment rather than take something that was at full employment and just take the rent from it. So it's in the consent agenda, and anybody who didn't read it wouldn't know what the board is up to, but I think it's a big deal that we're willing to take some assets that we've got that we've completely built out and reutilize that funding to do things that are in need of startup capital. So
Put more people to work.
yeah, it's a big deal, and it's on a consent agenda. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of what we're up to. And other than that, I have nothing.
Michael, anything? And I have nothing. Carey, if you please.
Motion to approve consent agenda items A through F.
Commissioner Bell?
Yes.
Commissioner Shepard?
Yes.
Commissioner Briscoe's yes. Carries 3-0. This time I'll recess the public meeting and open a public hearing on the 2023 strategic budget. That's next. Public have anything to say?
Nobody signed up.
No one, come on, guys, you don't want to know where all the money's going? Okay, with no one to give a public minute, we'll close the public hearing on the 2023 strategic budget and reconvene the regular commission meeting.
Was it nobody online?
So our first action item, Karen?
Port Commission approval of resolution number 1404, approving the 2023 strategic budget, and resolution number 1405, authorizing the regular property tax levy and declaring a substantial need to maintain the maximum levy capacity. CFO Tamara Sobczak.
Thanks, Carey. Tamara Sobczak, CFO, Port of Bellingham. So the two resolutions in front of you this afternoon accomplish three things. The first one is adopts the draft budget as it was published on October 24th with the changes that we discussed at our last meeting, which was just the tax levy finalization. The second thing it accomplishes is it sets that tax levy and increases it by 1%, again, as discussed at our last meeting. And then finally, it preserves our bank capacity for future use.
The only thing I want to add is last meeting, we were talking about the increase in what it meant on a $400,000 or $500,000 home, and I said $7, and I think Tamara said 70 cents, and she's correct. It's 70 cents, not $7.
Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, staff recommends approval. We can get this buttoned up.
Commissioner Shepard, questions for me?
I don't have any questions. You know, we talked about it last time. I think I'm of the same opinion. I think we weigh these decisions very carefully anytime we are asking the public to contribute to the operation of the port. I feel like we have good rationale that we have some critical needs to fill in our budget in the upcoming year. And these funds, though we never like having to ask the public to contribute more. Given the cost of everything and the slate of projects that we have ahead of us, I think this money is going to be well spent.
Thank you.
I have no comments.
I just,
Bobby Briscoe.
I wrestle nightly with charging anyone any more money. I mean, times are tough for everyone. Everybody knows where the economy's at and what's going on, and it's very hard for me to impose any kind of more pain on people monetarily wise. It's very, very difficult for me, but I think the port has done, and staff has done a very good job of stretching our money over the last 7-8 years, and getting good bang for our buck, doing things once, not twice, getting it right the first time. I'm proud of our staff for doing that. It's a big accomplishment. When through the COVID and everything else, we've done very well here, and it pains me to have to increase the property tax levy, but at some point you have to do it, and I don't believe we've really done anything for 5-6 years. We've tried to figure out ways, and our shipping terminal is starting to blossom, and that's going to bring more revenue, which will make it easier not to do what we have to do here, and that's what it's all about. The port needs to be self-sufficient, and that's the direction we're headed, and that's where I want it to go. And that being said, thank you for your work on the budget. It's a very lengthy process and probably a lot of headaches and bare aspirin. So, but you do a very good job, and
Thank
we
you.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's all I have to say.
Port Commission approval of Resolution Number 1404, approving the 2023 strategic budget, and Resolution Number 1405, authorizing the regular property tax levy and declaring a substantial need to maintain the maximum levy capacity.
Commissioner Bell.
I'm a yes.
Commissioner Shepard.
I'm also a yes.
Commissioner Briscoe's a yes, but please understand that these yeses came very, very hard for us. We really didn't want to do this, but we are backed in the corner financially, and we need a little bit of help, and that's what we're asking for, is just a little bit of help. Hopefully we won't have to do this again for a long time.
I'll add to that we're at an 8% inflation rate, and we don't get CPI. And so the only way for us to keep up with inflation is a 1%.
Thank you.
The truck's not getting too far. It's only 7% ahead of us now, right? Okay.
Bobby, did you say you
Yes, I did.
approved it? Okay,
I'm sorry.
that's okay.
Wow. What are we doing here now? The second one, okay.
Yeah, I'll read the motion. Motion to authorize Executive Director to execute a termination of option to purchase real property, a new option to purchase real property with Millworks LLC, and purchase and sale agreement for real property with Mercy Housing Northwest, and all related documents required to finalize the transaction. Environmental and Planning, Brian Gowron.
So apparently Zoom can't hear, so if you give us just a second here.
Who can't hear? Oh, Zoom.
There's public waiting, but they can't, it's just, they can't see.
They can't get in?
Right.
That's why there's some Mercy folks that we're going to join for this one too, so customers.
So do I need to turn my mic off? Is that what you're saying?
No.
That figure restart.
Recording in progress.
I should have told everyone I was
Oh,
going to do that. Whoops. There we go. Hogan's back. Hey, Mike, can you hear us? If you can't hear us, well, I guess you can't hear us. You wouldn't know.
Yeah, wave your hand if you can't hear us, Mike. We're working on it, okay?
Can you hear us up here at the commission seats, Mike?
I think we have audio now.
Oh, there we go.
All right. Well, hopefully everyone will dial back in.
Mike, your football team needs a new quarterback.
Ouch, ouch.
Okay. Hopefully we got that squared.
All right. And I'll see.
I think we need more than a new quarterback.
He's owning up anyway.
Okay, sorry, I'm going to try to.
I feel your pain.
Could there be two different links? Stephanie's in a different room than Mike is. She said she got it off the agenda.
There's only one
Link.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and get started, even though people might be joining, unless you wanted me to pause for a minute here.
Ellen seems to think she's maybe in another room. Like, she's told me she couldn't hear, but her name was never posted.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
We need a minute here then?
Just a minute, yeah.
Not really good news I bring to the floor here, but we had a long-term tenant, shipyard operator, a Whatcom County resident pass away last week, Mr. Norm Walsh, Walsh Industries. Unfortunately, he's not with us anymore, so maybe a moment for Norm, please.
Ellen doesn't see it.
Thank you.
I should know, but.
So for those of you listening and those of you here in the room, we've got Fisherman's Expo, or Pacific Northwest Expo is this week, Thursday through, I think it's Saturday, isn't it, Paul? Thursday through Saturday, yeah. Down in Seattle at Lumen Field. And I think we've got a booth there, don't we, Rob?
We do not.
So if you want to see all the latest gizmos and learn about all the fisheries and life-saving stuff and money well spent stuff, that's what we tell our wives, so. You can go to Seattle Thursday through Saturday.
Oh, really? These are all the people that are on that link. So I just went to
We're in the wrong meeting.
Yeah, I just went to the link on the agenda, and it's different from the one that the staff, that Hogan and Veronica are on. Because I've got everybody else in that one,
Well, are they clicking the link from the agenda?
from the agenda.
Hey, Mike and Veronica, we're going to go to a different link if I can find it. So I'm going to shut you out here.
Well, maybe we have some public comment. Darn!
That's what I'm going to do.
Hey, Gina, can you hear us on your link?
No, because we're not on at all anymore.
Yeah, if your board needs something to do, it's pretty enlightening to the industries and a lot of what we deal with. I mean, it's just not the fishing industry. It's a lot of different things.
Okay, hey, Gina Stark, can you hear us? We finally figured out what meeting we needed to be in.
Yes, Rob and Commissioners, I can hear you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so I'm going to reconvene the public meeting here. We're going to start with, we've had a technical glitch, and we were on a different link than you folks were on, so we didn't think there was any public comment because no one spoke up and no one was on the screen. So at this point in time, we're going to go back to our original public comment period. And if you have something you would like to speak on, public comment-wise, please tune yourself in now and speak up or wave or holler or jump up and down, and we'll get you online here. Go ahead, jump up and down.
I want to see that.
One more time, is there anybody that's on Zoom that would like to speak? Please unmute yourself and speak up. Hearing nothing, we're going to resume the meeting, and we are on action item 2, and Mr. Brian Gowan is going to speak to this.
Carey, did you hear Zoom start recording? You should record the meeting, right?
I didn't hear.
I'm not sure Zoom is recording itself.
Sorry, I got to stop the share again.
You want me to re-ask for the
Do you record to the computer or the cloud, Clary?
Recording in progress.
Okay, so at this time, we'd like to reconvene the public meeting. We had another technical error, and I think we got it straightened out now. We weren't recording, so people wouldn't be able to listen later. Is there anyone online that would like to give public testimony at this time to anything here? Please unmute yourself and speak up. One more time, anyone online on the Zoom meeting that would like to give public testimony, please unmute yourself and speak up. Hearing none, we're going to move forward with action item 2, Mr. Brian Gowan.
Okay. And Carey, you already read the motion, right?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, thank you. Brian Gowan, Director of Environmental and Planning Services. This action item that's before you right now is related to the ongoing work that we've had at the Lignan parcel, which is located in the Waterfront District at the corner of Cornwall Avenue and Laurel. And it's kind of about a 3-acre parcel. It's shown here on this image from the Cornwall Bridge looking down onto the site. And so, as you might recall, over the past few years, we've had actually this action builds on some previously commission-approved milestones going back a couple of years, including an exclusive negotiating agreement and an option to purchase property between the Port, Millworks LLC, which is part of the Whatcom Community Foundation, as well as Mercy Housing Northwest, which is part of an affordable housing provider. So what we've got before you today is actually a really exciting milestone where we're moving from some steps I'll talk about here, what we've done to date, into Mercy's almost ready to start construction on their project, which is any project in the Waterfront District starting construction is exciting, but this one even more so because this is the first affordable housing project in the Waterfront District. So a significant milestone for that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and walk through a few steps of kind of where we're at right now, as well as some of the new agreements that are before you for consideration. So where we're at right now, the Port has been working for a couple of years, as I said, through planning, permitting, design with our project partners, and now Mercy's ready to start construction very soon. And what the Port has been doing is working on the environmental cleanup. So right now, all the construction work that you're seeing down there right now is actually Port work under a consent decree with the Department of Ecology to complete the environmental cleanup before the projects come in behind for the new development construction. Mercy Housing has entered into a prospective purchaser's consent decree with the Department of Ecology as well, which is a kind of an extra layer of environmental liability protection with the Department of Ecology for their project. We've completed a specific binding site plan where we've created the actual parcels in this area. So those lots have been created and approved by the city. Mercy has been working through their land use and their design review and their building permits with the city of Bellingham, and they're really close to being issued. We're expecting them probably any day now. They've got a last round of comments from the city where really easily address things like where to put the addresses and that kind of thing. So we're expecting to have those ready to issue from the city within the coming weeks. And with all those things in place, Mercy is now prepared to purchase the lot and initiate this construction on their project, which we're calling collectively Phase 1. And then the next project we'll talk about is what we're looking at as Phase 2 of the Millworks project. So with all of those things in place, we are now set up to work on these new sets of agreements, which are before you for consideration. And what that is specifically is a termination of the existing option, which was a combined option for the entire parcel with both Mercy and Millworks, and then 2 new agreements. One is a purchase and sale agreement for Mercy so they can get going, and then a revised option with Millworks, which has a little more detail to it, kind of capitalizing on where we're at in the project right now. So the next slide kind of talks through those. These updated agreements for Mercy Housing is a purchase and sale agreement, like I said. It's with a purchase price of about $750,000, which is a discounted price based on compliance with the RCWs, which allows the port to sell property for affordable housing with an affordable housing covenant at a discounted value. It does meet all the RCWs for public benefit requirements, and with that in mind, we're moving forward with that with the anticipation that pending commission approval of these actions, that the property closing would happen in December, so just next month. And then Mercy is actually slated to start construction by the end of this year. So by the end of December, they'll be starting construction. They have a really great local team. RMC Architects has been leading the design, the permitting, and they've been really great to work with. And they've contracted with Dawson Construction, which we all know is a really high quality local firm. And both that whole team was actually that worked with Mercy on their Barclay project that's just wrapping up right now, and they've had a lot of great success with that team. So on the Millworks side, with the purchase and sale moving forward on Mercy, now Phase 2, Millworks is looking at advancing that. They're by design a little bit further behind, but that was we've been putting all of our efforts on kind of supporting Mercy for the past year, and now Millworks will be revising our option with Millworks. The details of that include a purchase price which is at fair market value at about $1.2 million for that parcel, and then this option actually comes with a revised performance addendum, which is consistent with how we're approaching all of our projects in the waterfront district, including with Harcourt and the future projects we see coming down the line, which is kind of a step-by-step approach for a concept to be presented, then revisions through the city's permitting process, and then finally at the end of that process, a purchase and sale agreement that is the final fully permitted and fully financed project. So we've got a step-by-step process that outlines that in this option, and we've all worked through kind of what that looks like and some timeframes and some schedules that we can manage it to. So the first deliverable under that performance addendum is a concept design to the commission, and that is due to the port by March 31st of next year, so just in a few months. And then we'll have a process that goes through. A lot of that kind of depends on how the city's permitting goes. So we wanted to make sure we had ample time, but we're also realistic. So a final occupancy for this project is no later than December 31st of 2027, which does seem like a fairly long time. But if you take into consideration where they're at, the amount of time that the city's permitting takes, plus the fact that Mercy Housing is going to be working on their project under construction for the next year and a half or so, it's going to be hard. It would have been hard anyway to get this project going in parallel. So this is a realistic time frame for this type of project. I think it's realistic and probably can be outperformed. It would be able to meet this date probably in advance of that, but that's the time frame that we've kind of worked on. We thought it was realistic. So the Phase 2, just a little more detail on what's in the Phase 2 program is anticipated to be about a 7-story structure with structured parking associated with that. The uses are a combination of commercial kitchen, business incubation, workforce training, event space, co-located offices, and as well as then 5 floors of workforce housing above the 2 floors of commercial kind of mixed use and commercial kitchens and that sort of thing. So there'll be a lot more detail coming on this. Again, as a reminder, the approvals for this is the approval of the process for moving these projects forward, and a concept will come, then another iteration with more detail, and we'll have multiple times to kind of get more detail as that project is refined through the course of the design. So as I already mentioned, the performance addendum includes, timeframes. There's a flow chart that kind of explains how that goes. We're using that with Harcourt. It's been pretty successful. We're using it with this group, and most everybody, once you kind of get your head around it, has understood that seems like it makes sense. We anticipate we'll do this similar thing in all future projects in the board mill and other projects that we work on in the future. So. With that in mind, staff really does recommend approval. I think it's been a really great collaborative process over the past few years. We're looking forward to seeing more development happening down here and then working through this process. So with that, I know that both Mercy and Millworks just wanted to say a couple words, so they're representative. So I turn it over to Joe, I think first on Zoom. Make sure I can, I might stop sharing so that Joe can say hi, and I'll turn it over. And then after that, Maury will step up and say a couple words as well.
Terrific. Thanks, Brian. And again, I'm Joe Thompson. I'm the president of Mercy Housing Northwest. And I just really wanted to thank the port, its commissioners, and the dedicated staff, Rob and Brian, for making affordable housing a priority for their vision in the redevelopment of the port and the downtown waterfront. This would not be possible without your collaboration and partnership, and I appreciate it. Also wanted to thank the Whatcom Community Foundation for their partnership and support on Phase 1, and also just wanted to offer our enthusiastic support of their development on Phase 2. So this will be our 5th project in Bellingham, and in addition to the affordable housing, it brings a early learning center that will be operated by the YMCA on the ground floor. And again, we are just thrilled to be part of this. We've had a year of milestones. The project is fully funded now, and we are in the process of that cleanup, as Brian mentioned, and we are raring to break ground officially later this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Joe. Yep, Maury.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioners. I just want to echo Joe's appreciation. I think that we couldn't be where we are today if the three of you, including the staff in the form of Rob and Brian, weren't behind the big idea that we presented. And this really is an integration of community and economic development. And so we're excited about the opportunity. We're appreciative of the staff and the Commission being willing to roll up your sleeves collectively with us in terms of trying to explore new ways to do things in ways that will benefit the community, not just in the short term, but in the long term. So thank you. We're excited. Very similar design team. We also are working with RMC Architects along with MXM Landscape Architects, and we're excited to continue to add partnerships and move into letters of intent as quickly as we can. We're having great conversations with Council on Aging, Small Business Development Center, so those tenants are really starting to line up. So thank you all.
Can you introduce yourself?
Sorry. Thank you. Maury Ingram, and I'm the CEO at the Whatcom Community Foundation.
Michael, any questions for him?
I don't have any questions at the moment. I have a couple comments. Are we ready to go into that?
Yeah. Any questions or comments you have?
Okay. Well, thank you all for being here. Appreciate it. We've been on a pathway to get here for a while, and I just want to back up for some of that bigger context. Since 2012, the sub-area plan has called for affordable housing to be part of the downtown waterfront redevelopment. And this is a really exciting way for us to start getting to meeting that goal and to really addressing a critical community concern that has been brought up to us in so many different ways. As elected officials, we hear about these concerns in lots of different forums. And certainly one has been constituents. Another has been some of the major employers in our community. We host a business and commerce committee here in partnership with the county. It's made up of the top employers in Whatcom County. The first 2 issues they wanted to work on were housing affordability and childcare. This facility actually does both, which is pretty exciting. Those availability of both housing and childcare are barriers to our business's ability to expand, to retain their employees, and to develop into the future companies they want to be. I also just want to give a shout out to our partnership with Department of Ecology. This is a really, I think, nice partnership that we've had with them for utilizing 100% cleanup dollars to take a site and make it available for this type of development. And I think we were an early adopter into this project with ecology, and I really think we're setting a good pathway for other ports throughout the state to follow and to recognize some of our leadership. Finally, just wanted to thank Joe, Maury, Chuck for as a representative of the Community Foundation's board here for all of your work with bringing in the resources, partnerships, and funding to make this happen. So, good job.
What a salesman. He's good. Now, mine is, I got just a couple of technical questions, and they're probably not even relevant to the discussion, but the transportation corridors around the building with the rail going through there, at some point, just fill me in on what the access looks like from a road standpoint.
Yeah, for this particular, and I apologize, I didn't bring up a photo or an image of the site, but for this particular project, I mean, the rail anywhere in the downtown waterfront is going to be a challenge. I mean, between noise, but there are mitigations for that, and all the designs are looking at ways to mitigate for noise. Plus, of course, the port and city are working on a quiet zones crossings there, and that was built as a quiet zone crossing. So eventually, when all the rest of the crossings catch up, that there will be no more horns down there. So there still is vibration and other things, but they are looking at ways to mitigate that. The access to this particular parcel, or this combination of parcels, actually has a single shared access that both all the parties involved have worked on and designed together, so it can actively serve the Mercy housing. They're actually building the shared combined entrance, and then the phase 2 will come in behind that, but it also is designed to accommodate their access for that. And as I mentioned, the current concept, which will, once we see the more fleshed out version, will have other circulation patterns for parking and structured parking that are referred to on that phase 2. So a lot of that's being considered and being designed by those folks right now. But the full access for that site itself is all is designed to have decent flow and access in and out. There are some challenges there, of course, though, and with the fact that Cornwall is elevated next to the building, but a lot of that was looked at in the initial design of the arterials through the city's process. So all the traffic flow issues are fully accommodated.
And is that in the city's purview?
Yeah, so like anytime when you do a building permit, they'll go through a transportation review, and they'll and part of the SEPA checklist, we confirm that there's capacity. They have a certain capacity. At some point, they'll put a light at that corner of Laurel and Cornwall, and so that's already all planned. It's just once you trigger a certain capacity.
Okay. Yeah, I have nothing else. Otherwise, thank you.
I'd just like to say, I think, when this project first arose, we were pretty excited about it. I know we've had some hiccups and changes along the way, and as you said, Maury, everybody's rolled up their sleeves, and I'm really glad that staff and yourself could come to terms and work these things out, because I think this needs to move forward. And speaking of moving forward, I hope we can go faster later on moving it forward. I'm all about getting things done. I like to make things happen, and I know it's a challenge. Money's a challenge now. Getting permits, everything's a challenge. We all realize that. So, but really glad that you stuck with it, and we'll get this thing done together. And thank you for coming forward with it.
And just for the record, I've had some hiccups in my marriage, and I still love my wife.
You want to get fed when you get home, huh? Okay. Brian, anything else?
Nothing else bad from my end. Thank you, commissioners.
And I'd like to add that we don't have a lot of questions, because we did, each commissioner did a one-on-one with Rob and Brian, and we went over this thoroughly, and we were explained, and we had a lot of questions there, so that this would be shorter this evening for folks. But we did in-depth discuss things one-on-one, and so we dug in and got our questions answered.
And I would just say I would echo that the group's been great to work with. I mean, we've had taken feedback and gotten a lot of back and forth, and it's been a really collaborative approach, both with the port, Mercy, Millworks, Ecology, other partners. So yeah, I think all that work has been really thoughtful.
It seems that approach works best. We get something done. So very good. Carey, if you please.
A motion to authorize Executive Director to execute a termination of option to purchase real property, a new option to purchase real property with Millworks LLC, a purchase and sale agreement for real property with Mercy Housing Northwest, and all related documents required to finalize the transaction.
Commissioner Bell.
Yes.
Commissioner Shepard.
Yes.
Commissioner Briscoe's a yes, carries 3-0. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioners.
for coming. Okay, we're, seems that we have some technical difficulties. We're going to recess the public meeting and open a public hearing on the 2023 strategic budget because all of our comments, nothing got recorded. So, and it needs to go down in the books. So, I guess we want public comment from anybody that's listening. And now that we're both on the same, or we're all on the same Zoom page, I should say. Is there anyone that would like to speak to the budget, 2023 budget?
We do have a chat.
A chat?
Brian's going to get it. It's with exception of Ellen from Mercy, all the rest are port employees. It says the podium mic is cutting out. We got some work to do before the next meeting.
So, no public comment? No one, if you want to speak on something or on the 2023 budget, please unmute yourself and speak up. Going once? Got something? Going twice? Close the public hearing on the 2023 strategic budget and reconvene the regular commission. And I think we're down to public comment at the end. So once again, is there anybody that would like to give public comment on anything in the meeting that was discussed? Please unmute and speak up now. Or if you just want to say hi, that works too. We'll know you're there. One more time, anyone with public comment on anything in tonight's meeting, please unmute and speak up. Public comment is now closed, and we're going to move to other business unless Rob's got something ahead of that. Okay. You're shaking your head. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Anything, Commissioner Shepard?
I just wanted to mention at our last meeting, we talked about the shipping terminal and associated noise, and I'm going to participate in the South Hill Neighborhood Association meeting tomorrow. Is there any additional update, Rob, for me to share?
No, we've got the noise study results back. We pretty much were in the parameters. We're currently working with the tenant on the container solution that was discussed at our last meeting. We're also working with the tenant on some solutions for dust, so some misters and some spray that'll help keep that dust down.
Okay.
Actually, I've got a comment on that. We all kind of wanted to do that as a port. I think with Rob and I know I expressed an interest to go talk to them at some point.
I'll set something up.
So I would like to make it a port-wide event rather than just a outreach to the community.
I think they meet monthly. I think that association meets monthly, so.
They meet each month, and they were very pleased to have anybody attend.
Yeah, we need to let them know how important this is to us as a commission. So I think just letting them speak to all of us and for us to hear their concerns, I think would be a big deal. Okay. So if we could set that up as either as a commission or with more of us involved in that.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to comment on that too. I'd like to make something very clear that this commissioner, very clear that we want to mitigate the noise. We want to do the best they can, but please understand this. Commerce on the waterfront at our marine terminal is not going to stop. We are going to move forward with our commerce. We need it. Whatcom County needs it. The port needs it. We will try and mitigate the noise to the best of our ability, but we will move forward with commerce. Just so people understand that they can, you can come with shutdown, but shutdown is not going to happen. That's where I'm at.
Okay. Well, I'll let them know that there's interest in the rest of us meeting as well. I think they'll appreciate that.
Yeah, and I understand that there's a lot of noise in the pickleball court too when my friend Martha is there and she's losing. So we may want to address or mitigate that.
That was, aside from pickleball noise, that was my only comment for other business.
At 11? The rest of the story?
Yeah, that's it.
That's it? Mr. Bell.
And I've got something a little more serious. Brian, if you got a second, I want to talk about the dirt underneath. As we start to excavate, sorry, I didn't bring this up earlier, I was going to do it too. As we start to excavate, we're finding that that soil is more expensive to get rid of or difficult to get rid of as we start to excavate for parking structures. So and I know Harcourt's having a tough time getting rid of that. Is that just because Harcourt's being difficult with it, or is it an unexpected expense that they didn't foresee?
No, I think, well, my opinion is that we've full disclosed all the data that we know about that soil. We've got reams and reams and reams of data. We also, in our agreements, have specific language about responsibility for handling excavated material. We can't do anything about pricing at the landfills, so that's one factor. We have seen in the past that landfill pricing does change over time and sometimes goes up, sometimes goes down. And then we also looked and try to encourage folks to look for ways to work with ecology and us, and we're happy to help on this too, because we've got a lot of experience with it. But that there is a component of testing and sampling and getting approval for a variety of different ways to dispose of this material. So, for example, the work that we're doing right now on the lignin parcel, we have sliced that soil up pretty thin to say, okay, some of it can go to a landfill that's a little bit cheaper. Some of it's still dirty, needs to go to a different landfill that's maybe not as cheap. And then we've also worked with like Cowden over mine reclamation, that kind of thing. You have to be really confident that it's clean to take it to those types of places. And they're very conservative too, understandably, because they don't want to be creating a cleanup site if they're taking material that they shouldn't. So it's really just, you kind of got to be thoughtful and a little sophisticated on it. So I think that's where we're working with Harcourt, is to say, look, you chose to do a large excavation for a underground parking structure for lots of great economic reasons for your project, but you're gonna have to you should be early on factoring in, and it's in our agreements on how that should be done. And we have a contaminated materials management plan that has the details of how to work with ecology on it. So it's all out there. It's just whether or not people are thinking about it up front. So we try to encourage that, and we'll be there to help wherever we can. But
and Harcourt is what it is, but are we ahead of the curve on the hotel development? They're going to do some underground parking, and they're fully aware of what?
We're working with them right now, and we're trying to be helpful on those types of things, and looking for ways to minimize excavation or doing some data collection early to understand what you got, so you can maybe make some informed decisions as you're doing the design. So, but it is a big factor. There are other factors, just so folks know, is that we also try to be transparent that we're in earthquake country and there's liquefaction issues, so you have to do ground improvements for your foundations. And it's an old industrial site with tons of old foundations and stuff that we didn't remove, so you're gonna have to be dealing with that when you open up the ground. So we have all of those things try to be quantified as much as we can, but that has gone into our valuation of our price per square foot as well when we sell the property. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, can I comment on that? I can question it.
You're the chair. I'm just.
Well, I'm asking. I don't want to interrupt unless you let me.
I'm just the secretary.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You might get fed there. Have they run into any major complication with underground structures there that have held them up any way?
Not too much. I know that there were some pipes that were unexpected that had a preferential pathway for water to infiltrate into their excavation. So having to manage that water while they're trying to do the excavation and while they're pouring the foundations, that's not that big of a deal really, but that's been one thing that they weren't expecting. There was a large, actually like a conveyor belt structure that was underground that they had to remove that whole thing. It was like you could drive a truck through it kind of size, but it was full of water too. So once they opened that up, it kind of came into the excavation, but it was all things that are manageable. There hasn't been any wow, time to totally stop the project kind of things we've encountered.
That's all I have. Thank you.
My last thing is just Sunil. When are we going to go to in-person BIAC meetings? I drive all the way out there. Is that something you would consider?
Commissioner, at this time, Sunil Harman, Director of Aviation, at this time, I'm not recommending in-person BIAC meetings at the airport. With what the CDC is saying, with various viruses that are converging this winter, we just don't have the personnel. If we go into a situation where more than 3 people are in quarantine, operationally we're ineffective. I can't run a commercial operation at that point.
No pouting?
I'm done.
No pouting.
No, I'm done.
Okay, I have a couple things. I had a couple things. Oh, I know. The harbor stuff. Can you tell us how our new gates are have we had any feedback on,
Tiffany DeSimone, Director of Marinas. On the security gates, no negative feedback.
good? Everything seemed to be, I mean,
Yeah,
flowing nicely?
it does. Seems to be working.
Good.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the concern was that those gates were always going to be down, and as soon as people see it's from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m., that it doesn't affect them, and it's okay.
Yeah, once we started clarifying that it was commiserate with our park hours, then that,
Good.
made people feel a little bit better, so.
Good.
Yeah.
And the other thing I'll bring up, and I want people to understand, that watch this, and want to learn, and I'm the one that kind of forced and proposed the cleanup of the parking lots of the commercial fishing gear. So if you have problems with that, folks, and you're listening tonight, you give me a call, we'll talk about it. I don't want staff harassed, because staff was just doing what I brought to my fellow commissioners and we decided to do. How is that going?
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. It's going well, and we're actually getting positive feedback on that as well. People are happy to see it being cleaned up.
Very good.
Yep,
That's great.
thank you.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Need to be cleaned up, so that'll free up some of our parking in the summertime when we desperately need it, because things always full, so. And it was designed as a parking lot, not a storage lot, so. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Anyone have anything else?
The only other thing I had noticed is, it's kind of dark and cold out, but groups are already thinking about summer. Tune-Up 2023 has announced their dates and their plans for the next Tune-Up Festival, which will happen at the Waterfront District. And I just saw Eric last week, and he promises it's going to be bigger and better than ever. So I'm looking forward to it. It was really a successful year one, and it seems like the group has taken a lot of feedback on the first year and a lot of lessons learned, which is expected with any first year festival. And looking forward, I don't know, do you have the dates for that?
The July 14th through the 16th, so it starts on Friday the 14th and should close out on Sunday the 16th.
Okay,
At least listen to 13th.
I'm gonna get it on my calendar now. All right, that was it for me. Thanks.
Joe, would you indulge a couple questions from me? Sure. I'd like to know how we're doing at the terminal. Are we doing what we need to do, and is there anything we can do better to help you guys get more action over there?
Well, bring all the customers you can get.
I'm trying to do that.
Can you step up to the microphone so the people on Zoom can hear you?
Just state your name if you would, please.
Joe Schmidt, Local 7, 830 East Douglas.
Thank you.
No, it's everything's good. We could use more customers.
I mean, we're getting the equipment straightened up, and we're on the right track with getting the pads on the dock, and.
Yeah, so the equipment, like the crane, we've been doing training on that, getting guys up to speed on that. I know they're finishing up the updates they were doing to it. They're doing that this week. As far as ABC, we've got all our guys up to speed with all the training. We've got one more guy that needs to be trained, and then we have to wait. It's kind of a slow process to get our 30 casuals that we're supposed to get, but our B-men should be coming here in the next week or two.
Now, are we getting those guys localized? We got people who are going to be settling in town and here all the time?
Those guys are all from here.
Oh, okay,
I mean,
good.
they'll be part of our local.
Okay,
So we'll go from 10 members to 18 members in Bellingham.
Good.
And then the casuals that will be coming, they're all from here also.
Very good.
So some of the travelers that came in before the last ship, we'll be handling that in-house.
How'd you feel about the last ship? Things go okay?
I think so. There's always some learning curve and some stuff and a little manning issues here and there, but other than that, it's all going good.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, you make sure you let us know if there's something that we need to swerve or curve on that we can help
No, so far
facilitate.
I'm happy with everything. You guys have been supporting us, and we fully appreciate it.
And we appreciate your support as well.
You made us look good. You did, and part of it, I know you didn't sleep much, because it didn't matter when we went down there, you were there. But you really made us look good, so I just want to say thanks. You don't need to comment to that, just suck it up and say thank you.
No, I just want to thank. I know Bobby wasn't here last week, and I appreciate what the commission has done, Chris, Dave, Rob. It's been a total team effort, and I appreciate it. And I hope we can keep working together and build more as we go.
We got to make this thing happen. It's a lifeline, really the lifeline I feel for the port and our community as we get this thing fully functioning like it used to be. We may never reach that peak, but we got to keep trying. So
We're getting closer.
we got a foothold and a handhold now.
When I started in '87, I think we had 40 plus members. Then we got down to 10, and now we're back up to 18. So
Going in the right
we're
direction.
going in the right direction.
Yep. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Commissioners, not to make this meeting any more unorthodox, but we didn't, after we did the second public budget hearing, we didn't vote on the budget. I think for belt and suspenders, it'd be a good idea to vote again. We only voted the first time when we were on the other Zoom.
Oh, we want to vote?
Yeah.
Okay, Okay, we're going to recess the public meeting and open a public hearing on the 2020 strategic budget.
The public hearing was done. We just need the vote.
Oh, we just need the vote. Okay, so we're going to close it and vote?
Yeah, go ahead and close it.
Close the public meeting on the strategic budget and reconvene the regular commission meeting, and we need to vote on action item 1 again. Which, Tamara?
I'll just read it, or you want to reread it? Okay.
You can thank legal for this.
Port Commission approval of resolution number 1404, approving the 2023 strategic budget, and resolution number 1405, authorizing the regular property tax levy and declaring a substantial need to maintain the levy capacity.
And before we vote, I will apologize for us having to do this to the public. I really don't like to do this. Commissioner Shepard?
Yes.
Commissioner Bell?
Yes.
Commissioner Briscoe's a yes. Carey's 3-0.
Thank you.
And thank you, John, because I don't look well in orange coveralls with a tattoo on my neck.
Not that you would have been there. Avoid the question later.
Any other business? Any public comment from anyone? Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you.